Okay, welcome to this session. My name is Michael. I am a solution architect. I work with Fujitsu at ING, helping them to move to Office 365, more particularly working on the Exchange Online piece. I carry a list of acronyms after my name, but it all stands for painting the royal behind, something that Erik will probably attest to. And what I'm hoping to do here today is give you a little bit more information on the challenges that we had deploying hybrid Exchange. And had is maybe not the right word, it's probably have while we're doing this and learning while we're moving ahead on what it takes to move a heavily regulated organization into Office 365.
Hi, my name is Erik Knoppert. I work at ING. I'm in the role of a lead architect, and in that role I'm heavily involved with Michael and the whole team, of which many of them are here in front seat if you have any further questions later. On the actual implementation of Office 365 for the bank. Just one mention, because Michael is actually on his honeymoon this week. He didn't bring his wife, but he just got married last week, and that's dedication.
For the record, I'm not on a honeymoon with Erik, right? Just want to get the record straight.
Okay. And you did bring some presents.
I do. So if you stick around until the end of the session, there's something that you can get, but you'll have to stick around. So no leaving. I'm just keeping you hostage. That's it.
Okay. I'll be fair with you. Usually I skip some of the customer presentations because it's more about the customer than the technology. So we're only going to do a very quick introduction on what this organization is about, because it is the context of what we're doing. ING is a multinational financial institution. We're active in more than 40 countries, have well over 50,000 employees in these countries. And this is our strategy summarized in one sheet. And to achieve our strategy, we are undergoing a transformation in the whole organization. And as you can see in there, there's an IT part in the organization. And there's only two things I want to take out of that, because that's the whole reason and the way we do our Office 365 implementation. That's that we're transforming into an agile way of working. And you're going to hear the word agile and how we apply agile in the implementation of Office 365 a lot. And the other one is the consolidation in one global platform. We're consolidating all our IT systems into one global platform. That consolidation in one platform led to our workplace strategy. 2 years ago, we defined the Workplace 2020 strategy. We're well underway. We're 2 years working on it. And we defined 3 major pillars that our workplace strategy and our future workplace needs to adhere to. Move fast. Again, here we have our agile way of working. We don't want this. We implement something, be on that for 3 to 5 years, do a major migration, and then we're on something else. We want to be on this journey of continuous change, to always offer the best that we can offer and the newest that we can offer towards our internal customers, to our colleagues. We want to do that with an excellent user experience. We want to give them the IT as they're used to having when they're at home at their home PCs. We are convinced that will help us to drive them towards using corporate IT instead of going shadow IT and work around all the rules that we have. And of course, we want to do that in a simple and a secure manner. Secure is everywhere. We're a bank. Everything needs to be secured. And simple also means, again, this concept of this single platform, everyone on the same platform. As part of this workplace strategy, we're implementing what we call the cloud-enabled workplace. Well, we're at Microsoft Ignite. There's a fair lot of Microsoft products in there that we're actually implementing. It's about Windows 10, of course, on the semi-annual release, Office 365 Pro Plus, Azure AD, Exchange Online, Intune, OneDrive, and SharePoint. We're not going to touch on OneDrive and SharePoint today, just a little bit of Intune. The majority today, it's about identities and Exchange Online. The key challenges that we have to face, and well, quite a few of you raised your hands, and I think you know many of these challenges. We have a lot of risk and security processes, regulatory control, compliance to adhere to, both internally and towards our external regulators. We're going to touch about that. We have a complex current landscape. I told we're moving to a single platform. However, in the past, we were a federated landscape. We have many different parts of our organization doing their own IT or used to do their own IT in the past. And we're now struggling to get from A to B in the most efficient way. We have our client PCs in our network. There's one slide with some useful resources on network. When you go to Office 365, you still have Windows 7 clients out there. I'm not going to touch on it further, but make sure you're up to date with patching and updates and everything. You will see amazing results, and I mean that negative, if you're not up to date and you try to deploy that and modern auth breaks and all the other things break and you search everywhere, you have a very nice backend, but your clients can't reach it. Furthermore, we're an outsourced shop, so our existing on-premise estate is outsourced to Fujitsu. That's where we got Michael. But for the cloud part, we've decided that we want to operate it ourselves because Microsoft's doing all the IT operations. So for us, there's less, or for the outsourcer, there's less to do. So we've decided we will be the guys behind the portal, which brings us into a slightly more complex situation. Something you want to add on that?
Yeah, sure. Because it's a knife that cut both ways, right? ING operating Office 365 themselves, we do the on-premises systems, but then you've got the segregation of duties, right? We being Fujitsu, don't necessarily have all the permissions in the cloud because it's heavily regulated, you want to keep them separate, which means that the collaborative effort that we need to go through to set certain things up, hybrid being one of them, is very challenging. It's not impossible, obviously, we did it. But you have to work closely together because we can run stuff in the on-premises environment, but we don't necessarily have the permissions to do so at our will in the cloud. So there is a very tight integration and a very tight collaboration necessary between both parties at that point in time because of how they operate in order to just do simple things as running the HEW or rerunning the HEW, which for all intents and purposes, I've been talking about hybrid for a long time. I've always said it's easy peasy, and it is until you start splitting off things. That also brings me to something that I'll mention later on in the session when talking about split permissions, but split permissions in Active Directory and Exchange, combining that with hybrid and segregation of duty, and that's a whole new game to play. So,
okay. A few pictures. So what does our IT landscape look like? Just the part that's relevant for this conversation. Of course, everyone who's doing an Office 365 implementation, unless it's cloud only, but I don't think anyone here is cloud only, especially not the people who raise their hands. You have your on-premise Active Directory, your on-premise Exchange, you add an AD Connect, you add an Exchange Edge server, and you can go to cloud. This is the easiest deployment model. If this is the thing you want, feel free to leave. We are not offended. This is not what we're going to talk about. Of course, we have all these people really conscious about should we store our passwords or hashes of passwords or hashes of passwords in the clouds or not. We're not, so we have a federated identity. However, as I said, we have quite a few Active Directories, both trusted ones and non-trusted ones in the organization. Add a few additional Exchange organizations, a third-party tool to ensure that all these directories sort of work together, that Exchange, that we can email everyone through internal channels, and last but not least, of course, we have a third-party archive where we have compliance archiving for all email and a third-party MDM solution. That's the environment we started out with when we started our journey towards Office 365. I mentioned the scope. On the consolidation, we were already starting the whole consolidation towards a single Active Directory and a single Exchange environment. However, this journey towards the cloud is going faster than that on-premise consolidation. Especially on the AD part, we get there because that brought us some interesting challenges. We started out with the planning phase. Why did we do the planning? That's all to do with the regulatory and the security and the risk processes. We couldn't just fire up anything without the relevant approvals. So we basically did there were four things that we needed to do. And as we work agile, it's not that we fixed every single item of these before we started. Every time we fixed the parts we needed to do to take the next step on the technology side. It started out with a contract because we were a traditional licensed company. And the situation came up where we had to renew our enterprise agreement. And during that phase, we, well, first of all, negotiated the commercial bids, but also did a massive risk assessment and a legal assessment on the whole contract to ensure that the bare minimum from, for instance, audit, respect, and data sovereignty, it's all covered in the contract. That we had to do before we could do anything with any data related to the bank. Then we got to our internal policies and standards. There's a big difference between internal and external, because the internal policies are created by people in the organization. And we had some challenges there because those policies, and I think you will recognize that, are usually written for on-premise IT. I have a policy that states I have to do a DR test twice a year. Someone really raised the question, how are you going to do the DR test in your environment with Microsoft? Well, I'm not. Microsoft is doing that for us. Same with vulnerability scanning. And a lot of security controls where our policies dictate you have to do it this way. And if we deviate from that, then our audit department comes by, they test against these policies, and we will fail the audit. So we started out with mapping our policies and what the intent of the policy is, and describing how do you do this in a cloud-enabled world. We involved our security, our compliance, our risk departments, and came up with that mapping before we even started to do anything, so everyone agreed on that. So whenever we get an audit, the auditors will have the evidence that we agreed the approach with all relevant stakeholders, and updated policies are now in the making, so we can take that into account in next versions of the policies. We already had an audit, because even our audit department looked at us and said, well, you're doing a very interesting thing, and we want to have a closer look at that. And we passed the audit because everything we did in this area was really well documented, and they, luckily for us, we've proven that we've done that preparation correctly. Once we've done that, we can go up for the real approval. Before we store any production data from the bank in the cloud, we have to go through some risk committees at different levels, and because we are a global player, it goes all the way up to the board where they have to really put a stamp on it that they approve we go live with this. We do not have all these stamps yet. We have all of them to go live with Azure AD. For the email part, we have some of the lower ones, which allows us to bring a part of the organization into the cloud, but not everyone yet. If you still need to start on this, it always takes longer than you expect. To explain the title, when Michael filed this session quite a few months ago, as you saw, the session is called How We Moved a Bank, because we were all in full confidence that we've moved a large portion of our mailboxes into the cloud. Well, the actual state is not that big yet. However, we're still convinced that we did 80% of the work. So, and we had more than enough material to show you the lessons learned we've had so far. So that's why we're still here.
Plus, that's a very good reason to come back and see us next year, where we'll actually talk about how we did the rest.
Look out for the section next year, how we actually moved a bank. The last one is even more difficult, external approval. Those regulators usually are not the ones you can just deal with and tell them, well, we've interpreted your regulations and this is the way we want to go. The good thing is they're more intent-based, depending on the country you're in. But here we really took the agile approach. We took a bird's view on everything and looked at, well, what do we think we need to do to accommodate the majority of the countries that we're aware of? But we only looked at this now for the 2 countries which host about 50 to 60% of all our employees. Once we've gone through this whole process and have an internal approval to go live with this globally, we have to go to each and every country to validate whether there's anything with their regulator. And the minimum we have to do in every country is inform a regulator. In a lot of countries, we have to ask for an explicit approval, showing them all the evidence, what has been done, have all the risk assessment documented. So it's really important that we have all the documentation of the whole process we're doing and have been doing in the last 2 years. And we will go there country by country. We've just also here, we've gone through this process for Azure AD. That went relatively simple. But it's also really important, and I'll get back to that. And for Azure Active Directory, except for 1 country which has really difficult regulations, we got the approval, so we really have all the countries now in our Azure Active Directory. Which resources did we use? The key resource for this work is the Microsoft Trust Center and the Trust Portal, and I have to admit that I cannot follow the renames that thing has gone through while we were going in through this process. And in the keynote, I saw that it has a different name again. The good thing is it's security.microsoft.com, it's compliance.microsoft.com, and it's trust.microsoft.com. That's the new URLs that were announced in one of the technology keynotes. There you will be able to find all the reports that Microsoft has pre-produced for you. They've done a pretty good job. For those who know what it is, there is a SOC 2 Type 2 report, which most auditors will just accept as evidence for all the processes. It's a standardized report. Still, you have to do a lot of mapping between what does your organization need to see, or what does your regulator need to see, and how is that evidence being delivered for Microsoft. But Microsoft does deliver the evidence that they do vulnerability scanning, DR testing, and all the other things that you usually do internally in your organization. We thought that we had a lot of processes that no one thought before, and that Microsoft would probably not accommodate. Pretty much everything was facilitated by Microsoft. If there's still anything you cannot find, there's the compliance program. The compliance program is open to specific customer groups in regulated industries. It started out as a financial program, but I've understood that it's now also open to some other customers in other regulated industries. There you get far more support from Microsoft, including even the option to go one-to-one audits. There's a yearly compliance summit in Redmond where these customers come together and where you can raise questions and where all these customers are really interactively delivered the information. There's a separate session which is mentioned on the bottom of the slide on Compliance Manager and the compliance program, which is presented by Scott Snow on Wednesday. And that's then the third one, the Compliance Manager you can use to continuously do your own risk assessment and validate whether all your settings and all your compliance that you've defined as what you want to meet is actually the level that you want to have. Produces a very nice dashboard. And that brings us to the identity bit. First of all, why was we thought we'd do the identity bit in an agile way as well. So we start with, well, in our case, we started with the Netherlands. What happens if we just add the Dutch people to Azure AD, move those mailboxes before we go anywhere else? We ran into quite a few issues. Well, this was just assessment. We didn't actually run into the issues, but we would have run into the issues if we did that. The key one is your address book. You want to have a full address book before you actually migrate the first mailbox. You don't want an employee to migrate to Office 365, and if he's the first one, only find himself in the address book. People are not going to like it. So that brought us to the question already early in the process, how are we going to fix this? And that's why we really fast-forwarded this whole process for the Azure Active Directory part to get the approval from all countries, because otherwise users wouldn't accept the solution in the end. And then we would have had a perfect technology and a great mailbox experience, but people work together in our case quite a lot across border, so they just expect everyone and everything to be in the address book. Not that much further, we got additional challenges in this area, because we were quite successful with the program already before we actually took off. So when we were just assessing all of this, we got a need to implement, for instance, an MFA solution, and we were looking into Azure AD MFA. But again, the question came around, okay, but can we then implement that for everyone globally? Well, yes, no, okay. Again, we processed the whole Azure AD part so we can deploy Azure AD MFA. And a very important other one, as soon as you start to deploy resources in Office 365, which can be shared with others, you will get the moment that someone publishes something on SharePoint and wants to give access to someone who is not yet on the platform. That's completely fine as long as they have an identity in the system. So one big learning that we had here is start by ensuring that your whole organization is in Azure Active Directory to ensure you have this full address book and everyone can access the services. That brought us to a question, however, because we made a decision to only synchronize the target global Active Directory, because we have all these directories that we don't manage, and it would be quite messy if we would just import every one of them into Azure Active Directory. So we did still continue with that approach. We've created accounts for everyone globally in the global Active Directory. It's the target, so some people now have 2 accounts, one in their local AD and one in the global Active Directory, which also allowed us to really consolidate into one global UPN namespace. How many of you have an Active Directory that uses a non-routable UPN namespace? Quite a few of you admit it. Well, I think we have like 12 of them, Active Directories. So we had to go through the process of renaming all our UPNs. If you start such a process, then no one is going to tell you what the impact is, and you will probably hesitate a lot before doing it. I can only share our experience because I think how complex it is will be different for every organization. All the problematic applications were in our own domain in the workplace. After we fixed, and we ran into that, of course, at the first time we changed. Well, it's actually Michel here on the front row. We changed his UPN and he lost access to the third-party MDM application, to our VDI farm, and some other unexpected results. Once we fixed these, I think on the 10,000 UPNs we changed, we had less than 20 incidents. So we massively changed all these UPNs, and it didn't have that much of an impact. But now we are, according to the Microsoft recommendation, your UPN is internet routable, and we have made it equal to the email address and the SIP address. Because many of these applications don't ask you for your username, they ask you for your email address. Don't try to explain to an employee that the email address in this case is something different than the email address in that case. We had some learnings, and I think for the other 3 we have a different slide.
So, as Erik mentioned, we were successful before we even started, which means that what we found out is when registering a couple of domains, all of a sudden we got this error message telling us, well, it's already in use elsewhere, which we didn't expect. For some, it's easy because, as you might know, you can register for certain services for free. Use your corporate email address. It generates or creates a user account in a different Active Directory, Azure Active Directory that is. But you can take ownership of those Azure Active Directories, which interestingly takes these objects and puts them in your Azure Active Directory, and I think Erik can talk to that. Creates all sorts of funky stuff, but you can take ownership of those free accounts that have been created, for instance, when they launched a Power BI trial or anything like that. The more troublesome part is where you get the error message that says, well, this already exists in another Office 365 tenant. Right, because all you can hope for is that someone ever registered it and doesn't use the tenant so that you can unregister it there and register it in your tenant, because sharing a domain across 2 tenants is not possible, right? If, however, it turns out that they use certain things like identities, God forbid even email or mail protection whatsoever, then obviously you're looking at a sort of tenant-to-tenant migration that you have to go through in order to get that domain there. Now, that's, in itself, if you know that will happen, it's not big of a problem. If you have not accounted for that, or if you did not consider that scenario, then your plans for mail routing might swing the other way, especially, when you have a certain type of mail routing in place. Now, we are going to talk a little bit later about how we do or handle mail routing for Office 365, and then it will become clear why this might be a problem.
Yeah, and to add 2 things to that, so indeed what Michael said is if you take over a tenant and these objects are imported, make sure you find them, because they won't show up with some kind of a flag. We took away all our managed accounts. We only had federated accounts in our Azure Active Directory, and after we took over some free tenants, we suddenly had managed accounts again, and we had license of products that we were not aware of. So we had all these nice procedures, how we said we would do identity and access management, only federated. We had a well-managed change to do a takeover on a tenant that was free, but suddenly we had all these accounts that we never expected in the first place. Well, probably if you read all the documentation, it was documented. But I think a key learning, even if you are not going to the cloud right now, consider registering your key domains. And it's not just the domain for your UPN, it's every email domain that you have to register as part of a tenant. However, that brings us to the other finding, where I would say I would recommend not to do this, because the minute you register your domain in an Azure AD tenant, you're also going to break some scenarios. For instance, in Azure business-to-business scenarios. Everyone aware of what Azure business-to-business is? I see no hands. Can't hardly see any nodding, but just for sure, it means that if you share resources with another organization, you trust their identities and give access based on their identities to your tenant. What happened to us, we had a third party that had an application where our colleagues have access to, and they used business to business. The minute we registered our UPN domain, which also is our primary email domain, in our Azure AD tenant, these people were not able any longer to create an MSA account with that suffix, which means that the business-to-business or even the business-to-consumer scenario based on these identities was broken. So, well, in our case, that was a very good reason, well, after we started to get live with Azure AD as soon as possible, because then it's fixed again. But you need to be careful that as soon as you register a domain in your tenant, there are certain use cases that might break because of the fact that you've registered that domain in your tenant.
So let's talk linked mailboxes. Erik mentioned earlier, had that picture on screen about what the environment looks like, right? So let's dive into a little bit of exchange. We've got this central environment, which is the environment that we're synchronizing into Office 365 from an Azure AD Connect perspective. And then we've got this, what we call the old environment, CMO, current mode of operations, where ING is moving away from. And then you've got all these other forests, all these other Active Directory forests, which may or may not have Exchange environments as well. Now, one of the approaches that we've been taking in the past to onboard new environments, new countries, into that central platform is to provide them a mailbox in the central platform, but still allow them to authenticate using their current domain, their current user domain, right? You create a linked mailbox. Very common scenario. Now, this is what happens when you get an identity team doing identity stuff, and then the Exchange team just, follows them a little bit. And this is by no means, an exception. It happens everywhere. They made the decision to just synchronize that central environment. Great. Well, linked mailboxes by default, or the objects, the user objects, they're not synchronized to Office 365. It has to do with that, one attribute called the MS Exchange recipient type details equals 2. If that happens, if Azure AD Connect sees an object where that value is 2, it says, well, hey, I've got a resource mailbox here, or a resource account. Before I synchronize that into Azure AD, I need the account, the actual logon account as well. So I need both the resource forest object and the account forest object. I'll join them together and then move them up into the cloud. Now, because we made the decision not to synchronize the legacy account forests, that presents us with an issue. We did figure out a way around that. It's maybe not entirely supported. No, it is. There is a way around to do that, but I'm not saying that this is the best way. Now, interestingly, right, consider this. We're trying to do the best possible, the easiest way forward, right? We don't want to take legacy with you. For those who are interested, I'm doing a session about public folders. That is legacy that keeps trailing forever. You don't want that. So you don't want to take these old identities and move them with you into the cloud. So it's a good decision, in my opinion, to just synchronize that central environment. But it will come back and bite you in certain scenarios. One of them is this. And we'll dive into that a little bit later. What you see on screen, by the way, is literally Azure AD Connect, where it has 2 different objects for the same user account, but one from the user forest and one from the resource forest.
And that brings us to the authentication challenges. Because we decided to only synchronize our global Active Directory. Well, that's a fairly simple picture. We have one Active Directory, we have an Azure AD Sync, and we have a cloud. We have an Active Directory Federation server, as I explained, and this all runs very smooth, as long as your user is in this global Active Directory. By the way, we did make the decision to implement all the measures that if we would need to change our approach with this global AD later, that we could. So we enabled all the configuration of a consistency attribute, but we're still on the approach that we're not going to use that actually. But what happens, I use the example of a user going to activate his license for Office Pro Plus. That's why there's a small Office icon, because that's one of the first use cases that we're going to deploy globally. I didn't even mention that, but that's also one of the reasons why we need to have these identities. Whenever a user logs into his Office for the first time, Office will ask you, what's your username? So he types in his email address. Then he will be redirected to the ADFS server, and the ADFS server will do a single sign-on with your computer, and it will pass on the same identity, the same UPN to Azure Active Directory, which means Active Directory will see, okay, you're the right person, here is your license. What have we done for the other domains? The green domain here is a trusted domain, which is not managed by us, which is a different domain, which is not synchronized. However, for the same employee, we have an account in our global Active Directory as well, which is the gray icon on the sheet. Whenever this user wants to activate an Office on his Windows 10 machine, he's asked, please type in your username. He types in his email address, which is the single UPN one that I talked about before. Then he will be redirected to the ADFS server, and the ADFS server will do a single sign-on underwater with the account because it's a trusted forest, and will tell the UPN of the actual user, UPN of the user will be sent into Azure AD. Well, in this case, that's not even an internet routable domain. But I can tell you Azure AD won't like this because the user says, I'm user A, and ADFS will tell you you're something else, and you will never get a license. So our decision to only sync the global Active Directory we still think is a great one. However, now we're stuck at this problem. We're about to implement this in production. We've done the test in the test environment. The easiest way to do this is remove your ADFS server from trusted sites, and then it will never do a single sign-on anymore. So you will just move the burden to the end user. However, our ADFS server is serving more than 100 other applications, which will then also break because there's only one ADFS URL. The better one is a little hack in ADFS, which the Identity Product Group came up with for us, so it is a supported hack, is to do a claims rules transformation where you do the same exercise. However, just before the UPN gets sent into Azure Active Directory, a claim rule will actually look up the right account in the global Active Directory and send the correct UPN into Azure Active Directory. That way, the end user has single sign-on, which is great because they're not even migrated to this global estate, but they already have single sign-on to global resources. And Azure AD is not aware of anything that's happening in the legacy old on-premise world.
So
now I even give the clicker to you.
Thank you. With that being said, we've covered the identities, as Erik mentioned. It's the start, right, the bottom of the pyramid, upon which we need to build everything else. So let's take a look at what we're doing for hybrid exchange, and very specifically about the various scenarios there. Right. Now, before we got started, I was asked, well, hey, Michael, before you just run the HCW, because that's what you've been telling all along, just run the wizard, just tell us, what does it do? You know, how does it connect? What connects? How does it connect? What authentication mechanisms are used? Please tell us which certificates are used, what cipher keys, and so forth and so on. I can tell you that was a very interesting journey, right? Because you have to document from A to Z literally every flow that exists just for hybrid. And that is for setting up hybrid, that is for maintaining hybrid, that is literally for the coexistence scenarios that exist. So what we have here is a very distilled version of that document, which we created, where all the different flows, or the major flows, are being represented. Obviously, we've got the regular mail flow from today for the on-premises environment, from the internet, going through third-party mail scanners into the environment. Might not go immediately through the Edge transport servers, but that's just a detail that we'll talk about later. Then obviously there is Edge talking to Exchange. There is the internal Exchange servers that through Edge can talk to Office 365. Then there is the inbound connections for mail routing. There is FreeBusy. There is AutoDiscover. There's all these types of connections coming into your environment, at least with the hybrid connectivity as it exists today. Now, the good thing is that I believe it was Timothy Heaney that wrote a very interesting article, How Hybrid Authentication Really Works. What it actually does is highlight literally how the authentication pieces work for each of these connections. So it explains how, or what cipher suites even are being used when talking to the on-premises environment, how the sharing of a password, if you will, is used on the MRS endpoint, because the MRS endpoint doesn't use OAuth. It's literally an account that you configure on premises, then you provide the credentials to the cloud, and then it connects in. Well, obviously, security wants to know, well, that password, how is it sent from A to B, and is it encrypted, or is it triple encrypted, quadruple encrypted, and so forth and so on, right? So that's all things that you'll have to go through, and I can definitely recommend going through how hybrid authentication really works. Now, one thing that I didn't mention earlier is that prior to this, we ran into another challenge, auto-discover, right? A lot of organizations do not publish auto-discover externally. As it turns out, the hybrid configuration wizard likes auto-discover very much. Now, the good thing is you can bypass that a little bit. The bad thing is it's not a sustainable solution moving forward, because auto-discover is something that you will need at some point. If not for hybrid exchange, it will be for other workloads that you are deploying, right? So the recommendation there too is, if you can, before you get started, publish auto-discover and make sure that it gets into your environment so that all the automatic lookups for your endpoints work. That is great. Again, this article will help you to explain to security people that, yes, it seems like an unauthenticated connection, but it isn't an unauthenticated connection. It goes through the firewall, through the reverse proxy, and then talks to Exchange, and does authentication before it actually returns information back that might be relevant to your environment. And that's a very important part, especially if the security people are a little bit scared about connections they don't know. Another important point here is what Erik mentioned earlier. Early on in their project, they went through a great length of determining that Microsoft is actually a trusted third-party provider, right? I was talking with a bunch of people earlier at the booth, and I believe it was Ross who said, well, you're trusting Microsoft with your data because you're moving it to an Office 365. Why wouldn't you trust a connection from Office 365 into that environment? When you come to think of it, that's pretty much true. So that's part of the story that you'll have to tell, or have to work with security to make them understand that it is trusted connections. Now, this being said, there's a lot of additional measures that we have in place to ensure that we make sure that it's only connections from Office 365 and so forth and so on. So as I promised, talk a little bit about the MS Exchange recipient display type equals 2 scenario, right? So what you can see here on screen is we've got the Azure AD Connect kind of in the middle. And in a regular scenario, not the one that we are in, but in a regular scenario, you've got the logon forest and the resource forest, so account forest, resource forest. Both objects with common Exchange attributes go into Azure AD Connect. They are merged, and they go into Azure AD. What we are doing, is a little bit different. We take out of the equation the logon forest. We go into Azure AD Connect. We go into one of these sync rules, and I believe it's the user join sync rule, the in from AD user join sync rule, and we add a transformation rule that says, well, whenever you get an object from an Active Directory into your metaverse, and you see that the MS Exchange recipient display type equals 2, rewrite it to 1. Rewrites it to 1, and Azure AD Connect says, hey, this is a great object. I can actually synchronize this into Azure AD. And it does synchronize that to Azure AD, which solves the problem that Erik was mentioning earlier. He needs those accounts to be in the cloud in order for those accounts to be used for authentication. Doesn't solve the authentication piece, for which we need the claim transformation rules, but at least it gets the accounts up into the cloud. Now, the beauty of this approach is that when you convert these linked mailboxes to actual regular mailboxes, it doesn't change a thing, because the value changes from 2 to 1 in your Active Directory. Azure AD Connect sees the 2 to 1, updates the object in its metaverse, which was already 1, so the object is just synchronized as before. So that's a very neat solution on how we went about to make sure that we could get all those legacy accounts or all those linked accounts into Office 365 as well. Then, moving mailboxes. That's a different story, right? Large, big environment, multiple environments, multiple data centers, obviously. You want to move mailboxes as efficiently as possible, as quickly as possible, while maintaining control. There's many ways that you can go about. You can create or actually the hybrid configuration wizard will try and create one migration endpoint for you while it runs, and allows you to use that one to move mailboxes into the cloud. It's a single endpoint. we said, well, that single endpoint isn't very flexible. Plus, it will try and create that migration endpoint on your default Exchange Web Services endpoint that exists in your environment. If you don't publish that externally for a variety of reasons, it's kind of hard to move mailboxes through there. So what we said is, hey, let's create a bunch of other migration endpoints. Very easy to do that. You create them in the cloud. We created different accounts for each migration endpoint as well. Nothing to do with throttling, because with 10 endpoints, the throttling is not on the account. But it does give us additional flexibility. Plus, it is a simpler flow from connectivity. Because what we do, each endpoint, right, we've got hundreds of servers, of Exchange servers in the back end. We picked a number of them. We said, okay, well, endpoint 1 goes to server 1, endpoint 2 goes to server 15, and so forth and so on. And then that connection goes in, goes through firewall and all the scanning devices and all the layers that exist, and gets to that one Exchange server in the back. There is no load balancing, which is a very big benefit from an MRS perspective, because each time, if you do load balancing the Exchange 2013-2016 way, gets to a load balancer, it takes CAS server 1. Next connection comes in, takes CAS server 2, and so forth and so on. Now, switching between CAS servers, even though 2013, 2016, and 2019 are perfectly capable of handling the switching in the backend themselves, they're stateless, meaning that you can do that, there is a little overhead that is created with each of that connection. Now, when MRS move, I'm not sure if you've ever checked firewalls when a move is happening, but that is a boatload of connections coming into your environment, like a lot of them. For those who used to work with TMG before, there was this flood mitigation solution. It would go haywire whenever an MRS connection came in. So what happens is it goes into one server, the other, and it goes through all the servers in the environment so much that the overhead for an entire move is no longer this big, but that big, right? So taking the load balancing out of the equation, I mean the hardware, software load balancing mechanism, increases efficiency. Now, obviously, you can see some people frown and be like, well, but you're taking away the load balancing capability, the failover capabilities. Yes, it is true. Now, is it that critical that if one CAS server, which happens to be your endpoint for that one migration batch, goes down and that batch halts, does it break your environment? Does it stop working? Does it create a P1 or whatever situation you have? Typically, it doesn't. Yes, it might mess up your time frame to move those mailboxes into the cloud, but if you planned everything accordingly, you're not doing the move and the cutover at the same time. You're just syncing everything up until a certain point in time, and then you do the cutover. So that high availability for mailbox moves is not as critical, and the benefits that you're getting from those multiple migration points give you a lot of flexibility. Plus, from a security perspective, this is neat as well. The only thing you need to do a mailbox move from Office 365 into your environment is the MRS proxy. So domain or whatever hostname /EWS/MRSproxy.svc. So if you want to increase and up security for that purpose, what you do is you only allow connections from certain range of IP addresses, the ones from Exchange Online, published on various articles by Microsoft, and then you have a load balancer or a reverse proxy or any intelligent device, layer 7, look at the endpoint that it is trying to hit. And it only allows connections coming in from IP address X, endpoint EWS, MRS proxy, SVC, and that's the only connection going into that endpoint, which means it cannot be used to do FreeBusy, it cannot be used for anything else. Added bonus, you're locking down everything, keep security happy. Another thing that we're getting from this scenario is bandwidth control. Imagine that you have Exchange Web Services published externally, goes through your main data center pipe. Great. Imagine that you use OAuth through the same connection. It's very common, right, where you have a single host name externally. What you don't want to have is that that connection will start, those mailbox moves start consuming the primary connection for web services or OAuth or anything else on your Exchange server. Preferably, you want to move them away so that you can get a much granular control. So the additional benefit that we're getting from this is that because we're having 10 endpoints on the internet here, 10 different endpoints on the internet, we can actually route them differently into the environment, give them more or less bandwidth, have them separate from our main bandwidth internet connectivity so that it's less priority, more bandwidth maybe, but it doesn't affect our business as usual traffic. So it does give us a lot of flexibility on that end as well. So, as I promised earlier, I'm going to talk a little bit about mail flow. Moving mailboxes, and I know this is a bit of a weird situation when I'm decoupling EOP from Exchange Online mailbox storage, right? But for a variety of reasons, we're looking at EOP as a different solution as what we have on premises, and for all intents and purposes, rightfully so, right? EOP has a different set of capabilities, might not have all the capabilities, or the capabilities are different than what you might use today. So moving a mailbox doesn't necessarily allow us to start using the EOP filtering capabilities. Plus, at that point in time, you also have to consider, well, how are we going to deal with that, right? Because today, the MX records for a domain point to the on-premises environment. Are you going to switch them over before you migrate? Are you going to do that halfway through your migration? Are you going to do that after your migration? Right? And there's many things that come into play. There's a technical question, which I just mentioned. There's also the question, well, maybe you just purchased new third-party solutions on premises and you've got a lifetime of 5 years that you have to use them. Maybe there's certain compliance rules that or journaling that happens on premises in that solution that you just cannot abandon, right? So whatever the reasons are, in our situation, we said, okay, well, EOP, we're going to do that later, right? Not today. We deployed CMT, centralized mail transport, which means everything that goes from the cloud, goes through on-premises, goes out again, because that gives us the ability to control how it goes out to the internet, which, for all intents and purposes, is great as well. It's not the situation that we want to stay in forever, because once you start moving the majority of your mailboxes, it doesn't make a lot of sense to continue consuming all those on-premises resources, third-party solution, and so forth and so on, because you might be using EOP for one thing, but you don't want to be double paying a filtering solution where you're using half in the cloud and half on premises. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, one of the things that we have to go through is a process of making sure that we assess the effectiveness of the solutions that we use. I think that's true for any organization, not just for a financial institution. How are you going to do that? Because in EOP, if you switch on EOP for a domain, all those users start using EOP at the same time. Like if I change my send connectors on premises to point them to EOP, everything goes up there. Well, in case of our primary domain, because we made the conscious decision to have UPN equal the primary email domain and a SIP address, that's potentially 60, 70,000 users at once moving over. It's a little bit of a big change to take on like overnight. We don't want to do that. So what we came up with is a solution where we're building new connections, right? Today, Exchange goes through the third-party solutions onto the internet. We will reroute traffic from Exchange through the edge transport servers, which are solely used for Office 365 today. It's just internal traffic, pointing them to these third-party mail scanners as well. And then we are going to add a component on those edge transport servers that does center-based routing. Now, some people will be like, why do you make it so complex? I agree, but what does it give us? It gives us the ability to tell, well, mailbox X is on premises. Well, great, you're going to go through Edge, and Edge will forward you still to the mail scanners on premises. Great, and then out to the internet. Erik's mailbox, let's imagine he's not in the cloud, or he will be moving later into the cloud, but he already wants to start using EOP. Great, well, I make a change, and then his email gets out to EOP, which means that I get a much more granular control of who sends what way. Now, obviously, there's other things that need to be in play here as well. First of all, SPF has to be in order. Right? I need to make sure that all my security measure, my authentication for my email, is set up correctly, both for on-prem and the cloud. I'm not going to do center-based routing without setting up my SPF records for Office 365, DMARC, DKIM, and everything else. So that's the first thing you need to do. But it does give you a very flexible way of handling with this. Now, interestingly enough, when you go and talk to people trying to understand what the impact is of doing something like this on an edge transport server, you will find it really hard to understand what is the impact from a sizing perspective, from a security perspective. I mean, how do you even handle that from an edge transport perspective? So from a security perspective, what we are doing here, because obviously an edge transport server exists to receive and send messages to and from the internet, right? So what we're doing there to ensure that it can only be used as an exit point to Office 365 or as an entry point from Office 365 is to maintain access control lists that limit the range of IP addresses that can get into your environment on top of other authentication capabilities that exist within Exchange, like the double TLS with domain validation cross-premises, right? But that's an additional layer of security. So what we ensure is that internet email has to go through the official MX record, which either is EOP or the on-premises mail scanners, and cannot connect to the edge transport service, which we obviously need to expose to the internet to allow connectivity. Now, to do that, one of the challenges that we run into, as pretty much anyone else, is maintaining that list of IP addresses. Microsoft is actually getting better at helping us maintain those IP addresses. They do change once in a while. By changing, I mean they add or remove IP addresses, and it's our responsibility to make sure that the access control lists are up to date, which means that if you do not have an automated system, someone needs to go and check the list, make a change, or register a change, and then change the access control list by either adding or removing an IP address. There was this, or Microsoft announced the web service that they are using today in order to do that, and that web service will help you to do that manually today, and I know that some vendors, third-party firewall vendors, are actually working to automate that process, that they will consume that web service and automatically update access control lists for you, but that's probably future state. Reality is today, sometimes we are faced with this worked yesterday, why is it not working today? And looking into the firewall log and figuring out, well, there is a deny. Why is there a deny? And looking at the access control list and being like, oh, right, this IP address isn't in there, or, okay, well, we need to add that one. It's the reality of things that you'll have to deal with. We're learning, getting better at this every day, but that's something that you have to be conscient about, right? And it's not the easiest problem to solve, because inconsistent behavior can get you onto a wild goose chase once in a while.
Yeah, maybe one other topic to bring up, which is not technical, but I think we're all covered by very strict change processes. When you go to the cloud, this is your new way of living. Change people always want you to write down what's going to change, ask for approval, wait 2 weeks, and then implement it according to that plan. When you're in the cloud with evergreening, change management means something happened to me. Let's find out what and fix it. If you're doing it correct, then you should be reading all these messages in your admin center where they announce what is going to happen. And 80 to 90% of what's going to happen, you should have been warned up front. Of course, you have an acceptance tenant, which is running all the early preview features, so you run into that. And you're not just having an acceptance tenant, but like we all do, we all use our acceptance tenant every day so that we experience that. But don't forget that also on the procedural side, in change management, there's really something we all need to learn in this new world.
Yep, I agree. As I mentioned earlier, running edge transport servers at scale is really hard. There is no article, except one I wrote, shameless plug, I agree, on how to size edge transport servers. And it is a little bit of give and take, trial and error. On what you need. I did the calculations, and I came up with an insane number of edge transport servers that I would theoretically need to support an environment of the size of ING. But what we did is, well, let's grow as we go. Let's embrace the model of, add servers if we need them, remove them if we don't need them, because the edge transport servers, you only need them for a specific period of time during coexistence, while half is in the cloud, half is on premises. You need max capacity. The more that move into the cloud, right, the less that you will use them for a specific period of time. And if you have nothing left on premises, or very little left on premises, it also means there's very little traffic going through Office 365 to on-prem and the other way around. So you want to scale up and scale down again, right? Which is great, especially if you've got a virtualized environment. So for edge transport servers, virtualization is your friend. Now, how about high availability? Because that is important. That is really important, because mail flow, well, if mail stops flowing, why have a messaging system? There's different ways to deal with it, right? First of all, you can have an array of X amount of edge transport servers, put a great pair of load balancers in front of them, and just tell them whatever connection comes in, funnel it to one of the edge transport servers, do some health checking to make sure that you send it to a server that is responding, and off you go. So Office 365 will connect to that hybrid namespace, and then connect to the load balancer, which will handle that traffic. However, it adds a dependency on the load balancer. Now, I am all for simplifying things. Why do I need to add a dependency on a component which might fail and therefore create more problems than it solves? As it turns out, Microsoft has built-in load balancing in Office 365 and some intelligence to deal with that. So what we said is, forget about that load balancer. We're just going to take our edge transport servers, give them an endpoint on the internet. Yes, you need some IP addresses, I agree, but it's not a big of a deal for a couple of edge transport servers. And just have DNS round robin handle it, and Office 365 actually knows when it's trying to send to an edge transport server that might not be responsive, and therefore take it out of the routing table in Office 365, add it back later. So they have a built-in mechanism to deal with that. So do things simple, do it that way. Not necessarily that you have to, both options are great. Keep it simple, A-OK. Brings us to migrations at scale, right? So there's many ways to skin a cat. There's many ways that you can do this. One might say, well, you know, moving a mailbox isn't hard. Define the mailbox, define the migration batch, and off it goes. Great. Today, with the new hybrid capabilities around permissions, one might say it's less of an issue because you can move mailboxes and most permissions will continue to work on premises. That is true if you are on the latest clients with all the patches and whatever it is, that will work pretty well. If you've got a mixed environment where sometimes you run into the, oh, we need this patch or we need that patch, it's a little bit flaky. So you have to still consider the permissions when moving. It's less critical, but it's something that you need to look into. So what we've done there, instead of going through the motions ourselves, we have a tool that helps us create that visibility. So it goes out to Active Directory, it goes out into Exchange, creates a list of all the users, all the permissions that those users have to one another, and creates something like what you see here is, I'm not going to call it a heat map, but it certainly looks like it, and says, hey, these are the hotspots, right? These are clusters of users that are grouped together, which, for all intents and purposes, you should move together, right? The bigger the cluster, the bigger your migration batch, the less capable you might be to move them, because if you have a cluster of 1,000 mailboxes, from a supportability perspective, it's a different way of treating that than moving 5 mailboxes and handling those, right? So that tool helps us give that visibility and then allows us to plan better the migration batches, but it also gives the business the ability to control their own migration batches. So it's not an IT-driven way of dealing with things, it's just on how we can do that. Now, this is just one part of it. What I like most about using the tool is a communications perspective. As part of any migration, Exchange, or anything else, communicating to your end users is key. Automating that communication is even better, right? This tool, integrated with these migration batches, allows us to handle that communication, and there's an entire communications department that does a really good job of defining what messages are being sent when and why they need that and the type of message they are getting. So this is really something that helps us do that and maintain visibility, like what migration batches have been kicked off, what's the status, are there any failures, and so forth and so on. So it really gives that additional benefit and that additional visibility at a level that non-technical people also understand using graphics and numbers rather than migration batch failures or mailbox move failures and so forth and so on. So that is definitely something that from a large environment perspective is very, very useful. Now, those are not the only hybrid challenges that we run into. Inconsistencies, as I mentioned, we've got 100+ servers, which means that if you configure something, you configure it 100+ odd something times. Hybrid Configuration Wizard does a great job of going through all these servers and making these changes, but then you've got daily operations that happen. And then someone goes into a server and makes a change on that server, but doesn't make it on the 112 other servers, therefore creating a situation where something worked today, doesn't work tomorrow, and starts working the day after tomorrow again, right? Which is very challenging. I know Kai ran into this where FreeBSD was working today, it's actually working for the majority of the users, and then for some of them, it isn't. It's like, why is this even happening? Then you have to go on that wild goose chase to understand, well, why is that? And then it turns out, well, this little setting on that little server there is different from all the other ones. So maintaining that consistency across all servers is something that came back and created a learning for us, right? What also was a learning, and that was agile right there for you, is halfway through planning. Right? We had limited permissions cross-premises, and then Microsoft said, hey, by the way, now these cross-premises delegation, we're adding all these features for you, which presented us with a situation, well, how are we going to deal with this? Are we just going to embrace the changes that Microsoft is making, meaning we have to go through a planning process again and implementing that in hybrid, or are we just going to continue assuming that those no capabilities are not there? Are we going to add them afterwards and then treat it as an additional benefit? We went for the latter scenario because going through planning phases again and incorporating changes would probably take a little bit longer than what we'd hoped for. But what we now have is that if we define a migration batch, and when we cut out a migration batch of a certain amount of users and limit them, or consider them that we're going to keep someone on premises that would have broken the scenario before, it might continue to work. We're not particularly communicating them that you might expect it to work, but if it does, it's one less call that we're getting, right? And those are some of the challenges there.
Yeah, maybe two to add, which were one of them was actually a really hard learning. I mentioned earlier that you really need to add all your domains to your tenant, and how difficult that could be. We also found in our organization quite a few non-internet routable domains, .local domains. Actually, every Exchange object in our organization has one, and I wouldn't imagine if many of you have something similar for internal use, users who are not allowed to send to the internet. In our case, we use that to do email routing between the different Exchange environments. A non-internet routable domain, you cannot even register to your tenant. However, we now run into the issue that you cannot bring an object in sync if it has a non-registered email domain on it. There's a trick, you add the license to it, then you bring it in sync and then remove the license. Whether that's supported, I don't know. Technically it works. But start planning for those non-routable email domains so you can get rid of them, because they will hurt you one way or the other. And that's then a general advice. If Microsoft tells you something, don't use, for instance, a non-routable email domain, you can test whether it works. And it works, but somewhere in time you will find out why Microsoft has this recommendation. The second one, Hybrid Exchange might assume more than Hybrid Exchange is. Hybrid Exchange is about email routing and mailbox moves. Apart from that, it's two completely different Exchange organizations. Every bit of configuration you've made in your Exchange on-premise organization, which is relevant in the cloud as well, mail tips, accepted domains, transport rules, protocol settings, you have to replicate the settings and keep them in change as part of your change control process, or keep them in sync as part of your change control process. Otherwise, your environments start to behave differently. So don't expect magic from hybrid. It's just about sending those emails back and forth.
Interestingly, halfway through, we ran hybrid a couple of times. All of a sudden, there is this new capability in the hybrid configuration wizard that says, well, do you want me to transfer your organizational settings from on-prem to the cloud? Well, you could just go ahead and be like, yeah, sure, but sometimes there are inconsistencies that you might want to maintain. So keeping it in sync and making sure that you understand why certain settings are the way they are is really important. If not, that's going to come back. Now, one thing I do want to add to what Erik just said about mail routing, Office 365 does not support the usage of internal domains in Office 365. But you can route internal domains if you use centralized mail transport. Because what we found out is if someone in the cloud sends an email to, let's say, domain.internal, which is non-internet routable, but you've got centralized mail transport, Office 365 doesn't care. It just delivers to on-premises Exchange, and that server can actually route. It's great because now you can consider, well, let's keep it this way, and we can use the internal domain names for routing until you break CMT, and then things go haywire. So again, this is what Erik said. It's not because you can that you should. Sometimes you better make sure that you avoid certain situations. Then last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about journaling. Right? Quickly, journaling is really important. Compliance archive, as Erik mentioned earlier, there's a third-party archive, and we use journaling on premises today. Journal rules, actually we've got 13 journal rules today. That's a lot, right? But you can have a lot of journal rules in Exchange on premises. And each journal rule is scoped to a dynamic distribution group, and membership of that dynamic distribution group is based on an MS Exchange extension attribute. That's it, sorry. Right, so far so good. Has been working all along. When a user enters the organization, they get stamped with the right attributes, get into the right distribution group, dynamic distribution group, and their journal messages are delivered to the right journal mailbox or journal archive. So far so good. Enter Office 365. What we said, well, you know what, we want to keep it that way. Oh, hold on. 10 journal rules in Office 365. Hard limit. You might actually get away with talking to Microsoft and maybe get a little bit more, but you're not getting 112. Pretty sure, right? In our case, that would have been a lot more than 112. Okay, well, let's change a little bit how we deal with this, right? Let's rationalize things and still use dynamic distribution groups. Ha! Well, Azure AD Connect does a really great job of synchronizing all those objects, including the MS Exchange extension attributes, to Office 365. Did you know that the MS Exchange extension attributes are not synchronized from Azure AD to Exchange Online directory services? Which means that whatever we use on premises to determine dynamic distribution group membership, we cannot use in the cloud. So you go the agile way and you say, well, let's just use another custom attribute. And then you talk to the identity people and they're like, well, we're already using all of them for anything else. You're not getting anything new, which is interesting. So that's something that we still have to figure out on how to deal with that. But either way, the situation that we have here is that we have to change our approach to journaling. And that approach also means moving away from how we do it today. Right, delivering to a journal mailbox, have that archiving to a third-party archive, and moving into a SMTP-based journaling. Why do we do that? Because it's much quicker, much better, more efficient, I'd say. Better is a different word. More efficient, more scalable. But that means that we have to do a lot of rework. Now, why are we using journaling instead of in-place hold, in-place archiving? A variety of reasons, right? First of all, there is the need for a solution that spans multiple platforms, right? In-place archiving, in-place hold just works for Exchange or the workloads in Office 365, but there's other services sending into that journaling archive, and we want to provide the discovery team one platform that they can use. Doesn't mean that in the future we won't reconsider, or NG won't reconsider using in-place archiving, in-place hold, but it's the reality that we work with today, right? So it's not that we're saying it's bad or it's good, it's just a very different approach to do that compliance archiving.
For the sake of time, I'm going to skip one slide. If you download the deck, you will see that we're using Intune, MEM-based, for several reasons. I do want to talk a little bit about conditional access. Of course, you want to have conditional access. If you care about security, then you do conditional access. One of the challenges that we have with conditional access is that it's everything that's usually security measures are not. It's not off by default and only open if you configure. All your access to Office 365 is open unless you configure it to be closed, which means you need to really carefully think it over. We started out with some very basic conditional access rules where we just listed all our IP addresses from our proxy servers, so we could just limit the access to Office 365 resources coming from IP addresses that we own. That way we prevent people from logging in from private devices or anything else. Over time, we're now adding more advanced conditional access rules, including the ones that allow us to use MEM policies on Intune managed devices, so we can use the MEM-enabled apps, the Office suite, and everything. We're implementing device-based conditional access using hybrid Azure AD join. And again, like in any bigger organization, we run into some challenges. If you do this on Windows 10, this registration is done based on the computer account. How many of you do have a proxy server to get to the internet? Oh, that's only a few. I assume more of you have actually a proxy server. You need to have that computer account provided with a proxy server, otherwise it won't ever get out. And if you have authentication on your proxy, you need to make sure that this computer account can actually authenticate against your proxy server. Windows 7 has some other challenges. It's easier because it happens in the user context. However, you register a user plus computer. So if you have a shared computer, it will have a lot of registrations because every time a user logs in, it registers itself under a new combination of user and computer in Azure AD. When doing conditional access, ensure you have an emergency account. I'm proud to say this is not a learning that we've gone through, but it is a risk that is real. If you do not take care, you can easily lock yourself out using conditional access. Networking. Everyone has a networking team that says, our network is good enough, don't worry, we will handle this load for you. Just tell us how much bandwidth you need and we will take care of that. Going Office 365 is not about bandwidth. We found out. This one we did. Just like probably more of you here in the room, we assumed, well, no, our network is indeed professional enough. We will be able to handle this. It is about a lot more. Your proxy and your network most likely won't like the Office 365 network if you don't plan this accordingly. If you think the network likes it, the end user definitely won't. Especially when you start adding audio and video later, that won't even go through a proxy. Yes, Skype will transform your traffic from a UDP into TCP, so it can bypass a proxy. If you have more than 40 users live, you will notice. There's 2 very good articles which have been recently published on how to deal with network traffic, and the author of these articles is giving a session on Thursday on networking, so that's what I'm going to talk about. There's 2 things I want to share which really helped us to get this successfully done. One is, I mentioned in one of the first slides in our strategy, we have our user-centric approach. Until now, we only talked about technology. How do we match? We're pushing a technology with this user-centric approach. We have a team that's actually working with our users. They've been conducting interviews, qualitative and quantitative research, so surveys, but also interviews. And those interviews are not about, we're doing Office 365, what do you expect from it? An end user really doesn't know. These interviews are about, what does your day look like? How does IT help you to succeed? What capabilities in IT do you like? Which one do you use? Which one are you missing? Well, the first learning is that in the list that you find from these interviews with missing capabilities is a lot that you have, but people don't know. That's the easy bit. But there you also learn which capabilities people actually miss. And we use that throughout our project, but also the ones which are important for people. We also use that in our project. Because we're agile, sometimes we deliver something before it's fully finished. The first thing we need to take care of is understanding which are the capabilities that are critical for our colleagues, and that whenever we bring something out, at least those critical capabilities are covered. If there's something they miss and really want to have, we can make them happy by adding these features first. There's also a lot to learn. We've learned by A/B testing in communication channels. Send out 2 different forms of emails, one with urgent in a topic, one with not, and monitor the response. You will see surprising results. In our case, everyone said, oh, if it's urgent, put urgent in there and I will read it. We tested it. The emails without urgent are read better than the ones with. So all the output from the interviews is what we use to steer the project scope and the project prioritize. It's also used to optimize the implementation. Because when you go live with a service, there's only one chance for a first impression, and that also is true for IT. There's all kinds of self-service, self-support channels. Whenever something goes wrong in a migration, people just want to talk to someone, preferably right next to their desk, but otherwise to the service desk. Don't build a new support channel. People will call and use the channel they already know. And the last one, we're driving adoption continuously. Because we work agile, we continuously add new features. We need to continuously tell people that we've added features as well. And we learn about features which have been there for a long time. We will tell people if we see they're hardly used and they can benefit from it. And last but not least, our agile way of working. It's pretty big within ING. And it's not just that we started to call meetings stand-ups. We are really doing agile in business development and operations. And it got us where we are now. If you would start planning a project to migrate to Office 365 like a traditional project, you would be planning for 2 years. I'm not sure if any one of you was at Ignite 2 years ago. Remember what Office 365 looked like back then. Every problem you've been designing around for 2 years is solved already. So keep your chunks very small. Work on something that you can actually foresee. If there's a very complex task, you might want to postpone it because someone else, Microsoft, might solve it for you. And if you fail, this is the motto we use a lot, fail fast and fix forward. Don't look back and see how you can return, but see how can we solve it in a way that we can go on. This way we worked ourselves through the whole process with first a feasibility study without all the risk stuff, adding a risk assessment where everyone agreed, okay, this is good enough to bring 10 people to the cloud. We learned so much from the first 10 people we brought into the cloud. Then the Exchange hybrid bits, then Intune, and every time a little bit more, which also allowed us that when Azure AD MFA came up that I mentioned earlier, we could just test it immediately in production because we were there, we had it. Office Pro Plus, we need the Azure AD sync for Office Pro Plus. We're going live with Windows 10, and we have Office Pro Plus live without all the other stuff. We were asked to do a pilot with Teams. We managed to get 200 people to Teams, including Exchange Online, Skype Online, for a pilot, and actually moved them back. So we also tested our rollback for Exchange Online. But we could all do this because we had this agile way of working. That gives us 1 second for Q&A. If you have any questions, just step forwards.
Yeah, we'll be around either in that corner or at the booth later. So unfortunately, no more time for questions. Deliberately done that. However, I did promise I was going to give you a present. The first 50 people to go to this website, this URL, can get a free copy of the Office 365 for IT Professionals ebook. It's a very useful resource to stay up to date. It is a continuously updated book. I know the pain that goes into that because I used to work on the first 4 versions, and then I had to throw in a towel. And there's an entire team of authors keeping that up to date. Now, do remember, first 50 to go to that URL can get a copy of the book. If you're number 51, really sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. However, there's other sessions this week that give away copies of that book as well. If you attend those sessions, if you sit through those sessions, at the end of the session, you're going to get a copy of that, or a chance to get a copy of that book. Either way, thank you for coming here today. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you later.
Fill out the evals.
Oh yeah, don't forget the evaluations. Really important. Just mention that you want to see us back next year.